Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. We have a few minutes of delay, but we are here now. So, welcome into session number two. Session number two. Session number. Oh, session number. Oh, session number. Oh, let me mute myself. There we go. Welcome to session number two. We're going to be talking about digital access is a lifeline, using tech to reduce barriers for queer and trans communities. This session is brought to you by Cielo Sansare. They are the executive director and founder of the Queer Trans Project. Sorry, they are a trans and non-binary organizer based in Jacksonville, Florida. They are the founder of the Queer and Trans Project, a nationally recognized nonprofit, and they launched at 22 years old. Under their leadership, the organization had distributed over $1 million in free gender-affirming items and resources. Cielo also organizes the annual Northeast Florida Trans Resource Fair and has directly supported over 10,000 trans and non-binary people nationwide. Cielo has contributed their expertise as a NASA and DEI practitioner and a patient and family advisory council member for Mayo's Clinic, Transgender and Intersex Specialty Care Clinic. Their work has been featured by ABC News and Rolling Stone and centers on joy and access. And in April 2023, they were honored with the Louis Mitchell Foundation Award for Empowerment for the Black Trans Advocacy Coalition, recognizing their leadership and commitment to uplifting the Black and trans communities. So everyone, please welcome Cielo to present to you all today. Hi, Cielo. I will leave the floor to you.
Hi everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. I presented a presentation for everyone, so I will go ahead and share my screen now for that. And I'll also leave room afterwards for questions because I love some questions. Um, would you be able to allow sharing of my screen, please? Post. Let me see if I can get that again. Just waiting for that access. I'd love to know where everybody's from in the meantime, if you want to drop down in the chat where everybody's tuning in from. Let's see, Minneapolis, Louisville, Kentucky, Chicago. Oh, you guys are from all over the country. I love this. Is it as hot, incredibly hot there as it is for us in Florida right now? Let me see. Okay, you got screen sharing access now, so I'll go ahead and share that for you all. In the meantime, all right. Thank you so much for presenting me with access to that. All right, so today we'll be talking about digital access being a lifeline for our communities. We'll be using a case study of my organization, the Queer Trans Project, um, as to how to use tech to reduce the barriers for our community. And again, my name is Cielo Sansare. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Queer Trans Project. Move on to the next slide. So, the purpose of today's presentation is to examine how the Queer Trans Project uses technology to reduce barriers to gender affirming care, while also creating a safer and more private pathways to accessing gender affirming care. Um, this presentation will focus on our national distribution model that's 100% digital, which allows our LGBTQ community to find our resources that they need online, request the items that they need, and receive them discreetly at no cost, and with no like direct interaction needed. So for context, I know as we've learned throughout today's session, is that many queer and trans people face a lot of financial barriers, geographic isolation, so many different factors that can prevent them from truly accessing all the life-changing resources that they need. However, technology can function as a lifeline when it's intentionally designed around community safety, dignity, being accessible for everyone, and just real-world needs. So let's picture this. There's a questioning person's walking into the only LGBTQ resource center that's in their city for miles. Only next location they have is like in the next city over. They're going there very hopeful to find something that might help them understand their identity and feel more comfortable in their body. They walk into the center and they quickly realize that the center is not equipped to support them. They're black, fat, trans person, and they cannot find a binder in their skin tone color or in their size that properly reflects like who they are. And they also realize that there's no other organizations nearby, and the few programs that there might be, such as like online, other resources that might be able to help, come with barriers of their own, whether you have to be on an extensive 3-year wait list or you have to be in a certain age limit, like up to like 20 years old, or they require you to live in a certain city or zip code or anything like that. Because of that, they also go turn to other means. So they search online only to find that maybe the binder that they were looking for at the LGBTQ center cost $50 just for one item before shipping. So what begins as a hopeful attempt to explore who they are quickly becomes another experience of exclusion, frustration, and being told without verbally saying so that support exists, but just not for somebody like them, not where they live and not when they need it. So, with that being said, I propose the question, what if people could access gender-friendly resources they need with no barriers? They can access it completely online for free, no wait lists, no location restrictions, or having to prove that they're trans enough. And this question really came to mind because this was really during the height of COVID. Everyone had a lot of free time to explore and like find different parts of who they are, hobbies, and things like that. And technology, like the internet, just was really like booming during that time. So I said, the internet is like it can be a bad place, but it can also be a really good place. And it's really where people are finding their communities right now. So I made a mental shift. So instead of asking people to come to find their local resources that could help them, we brought the resources directly to them wherever they are at the tap of a button because the internet is nationwide. And this is an example of what our Bill of Core Kit program looks like, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. Oh, okay. I'll go back to this. So I'll talk a little bit more about this. So the Queer Trans Project, if you didn't pick up on it, the story was about like my beginnings. At the time, I was experiencing a lot of gender dysphoria, but I didn't know it at the time. I really didn't understand it. I had just come to terms with being a lesbian and getting comfortable with that. And then gender identity hit me like a train and said that you're not done yet. And I was really trying to figure out. Um, like where I could go for help. And all the resources that I found were just like really restrictive. You had to be a certain age or you had to live in a certain zip code. And it's like, you don't stop being queer trans because you age out of it. It's not a phase and it's not something that's restricted to a certain zip code or anything like that. So the Queer Trans Project was really born out of something that I needed for myself. And I said, if I need the change in the world, I'm going to be that change. So I decided to come up with this idea like, hey, like, let's just make these resources available to people regardless of where they are, because, barriers shouldn't be there for people to be who they are. So I created like an online storefront where everything is completely free. Um, all of these gender affirming items are available for people to um, add to their cart. And I say this really lightly because like it's a store, but everything's free. So they add the items to their cart. They can add up to 5 items. All these gender affirming items from breast forms to packers to bras and chest binders. And all of these items are completely designed and produced by and for us. And they just check out and they get them delivered to them. They're provided with a tracking number so that they can follow the steps along the way for security and privacy. And it's discreetly packaged as well in just like an unmarked purple bubble mailer for privacy as well. Um, And I'll talk a little bit more about like the initial challenges and alternatives because as important as tech and access is, we never had the entire recipe. We don't claim to have, you know, the know-it-all for everything. So I'll discuss a little bit of the initial challenges and then alternative solutions that we had in the beginning. So when the Queer Trends project first started, we had very humble beginnings. It was literally started out of like my bedroom closet, when I was just 22 years old, just some like chest binders that I had donated from a local like business, and then I also had some genderqueer books. We had some like fidget toys and things in there, so had a very humble beginnings. And all of them were still like listed on our website for people to shop for. And one thing that we noticed is that people were checking out items and they were getting like 10 to 20 different items, and we're like, this is awesome. Like access is great, but by not having like a limit on these items, we're prohibiting other people from getting access to these items. So we had to like, it was a double-edged sword of want to make sure that everyone can get what they want, but making sure other people can get like what they need. So what we did, we toyed with that for a few months, years, and tweaked them over time to what it is now today, where they can get up to 5 items instead of like 10 or 20 items. The next challenge that we faced was the problem of like a time limit, for lack of a better phrase. So, for example, even though we fixed the problem of um, the how many items that individuals can get, people were coming back during our next restock to get even more items to kind of inherently like curtail that item limit. So it eventually brought up that same issue of these people were able to still come online and get these items, and these people were being left behind because these people kept coming back. So one thing that we implemented, and again, this was through like different phases and trials, was a 3 month wait list. I mean a 3 month like cooldown period. So if you ordered during this month, you had to wait 3 months before you can order again. So more people can have a chance to order. Then we pushed it to 6 months and then 8 months. And we finally hit the sweet spot this about a year ago where people have a cooldown period of a year before they can order again so that we can maximize the amount of people that we can help, which has really been working out for us now. Let's see. Another challenge that we had, especially like as a BIPOC person myself, and as a person who is ADHD, I know that there are so many different like systemic barriers to accessing the care that we need, and I wanted to make sure that that was accurately reflected in the work that we do. So one thing that we really were intentional in doing was having something called our early access program. So for context for our Build a Queer kits, which are the gender affirming items that we have on our store, I mean on our website, those restock 4 times a year. You know, eventually we'll have like year round. That's the dream goal. But due to capacity, we restock 4 times a year. Um, and our restocks are always like at a pre-scheduled time and date, and they restock at like 8 p.m. on like Saturdays. So for we have questions. I'll go through the questions. So our early access program originally started out as for people who identify as BIPOC. So what we had was if you were an individual who identified as BIPOC, which means Black, Indigenous, or a person of color, you can apply. You can fill out a form to be able to get something called an early access code. And this was a new thing that we implemented where we will lock our website a few minutes before it opened for general access, and those people who were selected for early access receive that password so that they can go online and shop for the items on the website ahead of time before general access. And that was just so that we can have a more equitable system because we know that our BIPOC communities often faces like more barriers to things like accessing the internet and things like that. And then a few years later, we were able to implement something for our disabled community because we were hearing a lot of feedback from our disabled community that like, hey, like it's also challenging for us to access the items. Sometimes our items will go by very, very fast. Like these items will go by in less than 10 minutes. Like I'm not kidding you. We have 1,200 plus orders in 10 minutes. We just had our last restock 2 weeks ago, and it was crazy. Um, but someone who has like panic disorder, or someone who's really anxious, or has ADHD, or someone who's autistic, it can be really hard for them to navigate under all of that panic. So we were able to open up our early access program to not only BIPOC individuals, but for those who identify as disabled, or for those who don't identify as like disabled, we also allow people who identify as chronically ill to apply to our early access program to get that code. Um, and as I mentioned, they were able to come onto the shop 15 minutes beforehand, and then we increased it to 30 minutes over the years, and then we finally hit our sweet spot at 45 minutes. So just a common theme that like I want to mention to you all, that the beginning product or whatever accessibility option that you have won't ever really be like the end product. It's just something to kind of test the waters, see how your community is, how your community feels about it, and making those tweaks so that there's a sweet spot for both staff and for the community members. The last challenge and alternative thing that we tried that I want to mention, and this is really, really important, and it was a really turning point for us, was during the time, I think this was when our organization was about 2.5 years old. And a reporter from Fox News had like went rogue and talked about us. And this wasn't just like a small local Fox station. It was like the national Fox News station had wrote a story about us, talking about how we were delivering sex toys and all these grooming things to children. And it was really interesting time. And because of that, we had a lot of bad actors. We had people calling our phone, leaving voicemails threatening us, emails like that. We had people coming onto our social media, leaving like negative comments, like really nasty comments. And then another big thing that came out of that was that a lot of these bad actors were signing up on our newsletter, trying to find out when we restocked so that they can get their own kits, but destroy the items. So, as a new org, we kind of went into rapid response mode and created like an access option so that individuals needed to provide like their photo ID in order to get a Build a Queer kit. And in that's I also want to talk about a little more because sometimes access, like some things that we do to that seems like more accessible, can create more barriers, because we thought that was something that was really helping the process, meaning, oh yeah, like somebody submitting their ID to us, like a conservative is not going to submit their ID to us in order to get a kit, because then they'll be found out. And we thought that that would increase access because the more people in need would give us like their ID. But what we found out was that like a lot of people were not able to give their ID because one, it creates a privacy issue. I mean, because we pride ourselves on being like very discreet. The only thing that we ask for is your name and your address. Where do you want us to ship this to? We don't ask for anything else. So that was a big issue. And it would single a lot of people out. Some people who are homeless, or some people who are younger who don't have an ID, were not able to get these gender affirming items because of this like barrier that seemed to be something that was more accessible. So after one restock, we took that away, and then what we did was all you have to do is make an account on our website so that you can get a kit. And sure, we know that that's not going to 100% get rid of all the people, but we're able to kind of have like something set in place so that those bad actors have to take like one more step in order to try to get a kit. And that's actually worked out really well in our favor. One, because it helps us with more data. We are able to see how many people have made accounts on our website. We have over 68,000 people on our website, just waiting to get a Billiquer kit during our next restock. And we were able to take that one step further and like implement like little demographic questions, which will ultimately help us in like grants reporting, like how do you identify what state are you located in? Were you able to access gender affirming care items before this? So there is tech that you can use to increase access that will also help your organization out in the long run with like grants and reporting. Let me see if I have any like questions. I will get to all the questions at the end of the presentation. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention at that. Okay, let's see. Now I want to talk about the results because this is something that I'm also very, very proud of. We were founded in 2021 and we just hit 5 years this Trans Day visibility, March 31st. And to date, we've distributed more than $1.2 million worth of gender affirming items to trans people all over the United States and all US territories. That is something like absolutely incredible to say that trans people everywhere in the United States have been able to get access to gender affirming care worth more than $1 million. With all you have to do is to lift up a finger, tap a button, put in their address, and get their item sent to them. The only thing that we have to do on the back end is pack the orders, every restock, and then work to like restock the items. That's just something that's like completely incredible. And we've been able to help more than 12,000 trans people across the United States with over $1 million worth of items. It's absolutely crazy. People of all ages, and it's just really great. And I have some reviews here that don't even begin to scratch the surface of like the impact we've made. So one person said QTP feels like a community, not a company, to people like me. They embody what it means to show up authentically and genuinely. I was able to get a kit that affirms my identity. They made it easy to navigate their website and order what I needed. Since receiving my kit in the mail, I feel more confident going into the world as myself. Another individual pointed out, um, I've thought about transitioning for years, but I never really had the courage to because I felt that with my inability to receive a care, I wouldn't be who I wanted to be. Getting the kit was so life-changing, and I cried for the first time I saw who I imagined all those years. It's just these these things like these reviews like this just it really like hits home that the impact that we've made. And it's just really incredible how access to technology can create something like this. Like I think about all the time the real person who lives in like Montana who doesn't have an LGBT center in like walking or driving distance to them, that they can go online at the tap of their finger and order the items that they need completely discreet for free. We also have a safety exit feature on our website. And these are just small things that I'm mentioning, small little tidbits of access with technology that you can do to help with more access. We have a safety exit feature on our website, which is just like a little button that pops up on the little corner. And it's like a sticky button that you can click it, and it'll take you directly to Google. And there will be no sign of you ever like being on the QTP website. It's something that I really love. We've also like implemented like if tapping is like too much of a hassle, if you're like on a computer or if you're on a phone, if you quickly tap like a button or a screen X number of times, it'll also take you off the site that way. Um, so yeah, and other things that we do with technology to increase access is sending out reminders, and this goes back to like people with ADHD who have like just a hard time like remembering stuff. Um, we send out a 48-hour reminder about our restocks. We send out a 24-hour reminder, and we send out like an 8-hour email reminder about like our kits restocking. There's so many small different things that we can do, and dive into more of that in a few more slides and then in your questions as well. But one thing I just wanted to reiterate is that like I know a lot of people when they hear technology, they think of like, oh, like a phone or an email or a computer, but technology just means like anything that's like it can be anything that's digital or like not even digital because like a car is technically considered technology. So it's just getting creative with it. So, what's next? This is just some tips for you all to consider when thinking about things that you can do with your tech to increase access. So, identify the real barriers first. So, whatever program you have, I just want you to sit and think about like your most important program, or just think about one program that comes to mind that you really love, and identify what the real barriers are first. For the people who are coming to your program. If it's those who are coming for like rental assistance, the real barrier is cost. They're not able to afford like their housing. There's cost, privacy, geography, wait lists, sizing, safety. Um, Number two is design for the person who's most likely to be excluded. And I just want to repeat that again. Design for the person who's most likely to be excluded. A lot of times, what I see is that organizations will have their programs and they'll just kind of like barely scratch the surface. They'll design a program for like their ideal person, but not the person who's most likely to be excluded. Um, and like I want to just go back to like my story in the beginning when I was going around trying to figure out like resources that could help me. The LGBT center that I looked at, I worked there and I couldn't find the resources like that I needed. So I just want if there's nothing that you take away here today, but this is just designed for the person most likely to be excluded, the person who's homeless but also disabled, but also a person of color. And it's really helpful when you bring in the actual community members to sit down with them and talk through like how the program is like helping them, what hesitations they have there. And number three is keep the digital process simple. Keep it mobile friendly, keep it low barrier. And this matters even if you don't have like a digital first model program like the Queer Trans Project has with our Build a Queer Kids. Even if all your programs are like um, in person at home in person, what you can do to keep the digital process simple is on your website when you have the resources that you're talking about, make sure the entire process is completely outlined on the website so that people are able to mentally prepare for what they need to have to be able to go in person. um, Number four is to protect privacy at every step. I can't emphasize this enough. Privacy is so important, and I know that we all here already realize that. I know it's something that we had to go through in so many different iterations through the life cycle of our Build a Queer kits, but just protecting privacy at every step. Um, Number five is plan for demand before launch. And I just say this in the sense that like even if you don't have like something like where you have a program that's selling out in minutes, if you have um, like a food pantry, plan for how many people are going to demand those items before launch. Think about, any potential bottlenecks that could happen there and see what things you can do to allow more access before like those problems arise. Last thing I want to say is to measure what matters. Access, confidence, and real life impact. And I also want to say that silence is also data. Um, whenever there's like a bottleneck, that's also data. So measure what matters doesn't only mean like the things that are positive, like we serve like 500 people this year. How many people weren't able to get help but wanted to get help, but you didn't have the resources to do so? That's also data. That's where you can sit down and really brainstorm with your team. What can we do with technology, or with our team to be able to increase this access to all of these people, similar to like what we did when we had our cool down period with our items. And now I'm just leaving room open for questions. Anything here. You guys have me for like the next few minutes. But I want to take the time now to just say thank you for listening to my presentation. I'll be here around. I'm always here to like help you out with anything that you need with like technology or like access to just making things more accessible for our community. But I will open up the chat now for like any questions. Let me see. Let's see. Hot sticky. Welcome. One more. All right. What questions do we have? Oh, Samantha?
Yeah, I'm joining you for questions.
Yay.
So I'm seeing here it says, have you encountered any threats of legal action from individual states who have passed intentionally vague bans on gender affirming care for minors?
That's a great question. We actually have not received any like threats of legal action. The only like threats of like legal action we received is like there would be like a highly like anti-trans like parent or something whose kid received a gender from item and they're like, I'm gonna sue you to the ground. And this is like we're not doing anything illegal. And this is something that we really sat with. And I know a lot of you also probably think about this as well. Organizations who serve like minors, but we sat down with this and really like figured it out because the internet is this vast thing, and there are also like policies in place to protect minors online. We serve people of all ages. There's no restriction. So two things that we do to kind of like curtail any potential legal action is to just like broadly say that we serve people of all ages. There's no barriers. And we do not age gate on our website. So age gating means like, have you ever been on a website and they're like, are you 18 or older? Yes or no. That's what age gating is. So we don't have that on our website because it's just open to anyone. The other thing that we do is, there are internet privacy laws around, especially, I don't know if like you remember like when you were younger and you played on like Cartoon Network or anything, or like those shows like that, they say like you have to be 13 or older or ask your parent or guardian for permission. But the landscape of that, the legal landscape of that is that as long as you're 13 or older, you don't technically need like parental permission to like go online. So we kind of like soft put on our website that like as long as you're 13 or older, you're able to like shop on our website. But if you're not, like even so, like just make sure you have like parental permission. But we know that we're not crossing any like legal like lines with this.
Awesome. And then a secondary question we have is, how do you partner with organizations in other states to get the word out?
We love partnering with other organizations. I want to say that like we would not be where we are today without community. In the beginning, our organization got our gender affirming items through like donations and stuff like that. And luckily, we're able to get to a place where now all our items are like designed and like produced. But as far as partnering with other organizations, if your organization would like any like marketing materials, we're able to like email those to you so you can print those out yourself. Or if you're a smaller organization, we can mail those out to you as well. Um, One thing we also do is one of the items in our kits are like gender affirming tape. It's kind of like trans tape. And we have those in our kits, but we also sell them to fundraise for our program. And it's kind of also talking about answering one of the other questions. We use that to fundraise for our programs, but we also offer a wholesale option for our nonprofit organizations to be able to provide like gender affirming items themselves for their community members. And we really pride ourselves on having the most inclusive shade range like on the market. There's just like small things that every step that we do, we make sure everything is intentionally done to include the most people as possible. I know that there's tape out there, but it's very exclusive, especially for those with like darker skin tones. So we have six shade ranges, and they are all like realistic skin tone colors, so that like a brown person can come in and like be able to pick up some tape that actually like looks like them. So we're able to partner with our nonprofit organizations to offer them wholesale of that for only like $5 a unit.
Yeah, I know you answered the other question, which I will put in the chat, which was where the funding came from, which you just mentioned was through a lot of donations and fundraising. Which is awesome.
Mhm.
I have just to reiterate, I was listening to something you said around technology is not just a phone, it's not just like a device. And I completely agree. Like when we're thinking of technology, we're thinking of innovation, we're thinking of like different iteration, like even the development of different skin colors is a process that goes through technological advancements and the way it's shaped. So I really appreciate that as just an addition to just not tech the way that we know it, but also it goes far more than that. And then I guess on a personal note for me, what has been, I know you shared some of the quotes from your previous like customers and participants. So what has been something that has stuck out to you with ensuring genital affirming care in a digital way?
Ooh, what stuck out the most to get Jennifer from here to people in a digital way? Is that kind of your question? Hmm. Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. Something that stuck out the most. Hmm. I guess like what sticks out the most is just like the model that we have with our website, because like when I think like even though it's been like 5 years, we're just kind of getting at that point where people are starting to like grasp like the concept of it, because it's really unprecedented. It's never been like done before. Like stores have been done before. Jennifer Care has been done before, but merging it all together is like it's something that's unprecedented. So I just still every day just like sit in awe, like it just seems like such a simple solution, but it's never been thought of, and I'm just like, how did I like think about this? Like I was just homeless like 5 years ago, and now I'm running a national organization. Like it's really crazy to me, but it's just I just want to echo like that's really just how simple creating access to care is. It's really like it doesn't have to sit down and be something super ingenious that like a rocket scientist can make. It's really just coming from those who have lived experience with like struggling.
No, 100%. I believe the lived experience brings an added edge to anything that we do, just because we know it, we've been through it, and we bring that perspective in that people might not have thought of that could be something very, very simple. Awesome. Well, thank you. Does anyone have any more questions? You can put it in the chat, you can put it in the Q&A. Let me see. I also want to
And
reiterate the comment made by Casey. It was like, I love that you brought up accessibility. Accessibility is often an afterthought and almost is always talked on.
yeah, it's really unfortunate, but like I think, our community tends to look through to us LGBT organizations a lot to be a safe space, and a safe space doesn't just mean a place where they can come and sit down and there's like a pride flag on the wall. It's so much more than that.
Mhm.
And some other examples of things that we do to be more accessible, just to kind of like talk more about how, technology isn't just like an email or phone call. Um, we have inclusive sizing. So our binders, our bras, our packing underwear, they go up to size 4X. And we are expanding every time we have more capacity for more sizing. We have our chest binders, we have three different styles of that. So we have our half length binder. We have a full length binder that goes. It's like full, like a tank top, for those who are like bigger chested. Because if you have a smaller binder, like a half tank, you have spillage underneath. And for those who have lower mobility or have like breathing issues, or like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, we have like a zip up binder. so that individuals are able to control the compression that they have. And something that we did when our half when with our front zip binders when it first came out is we had like little like button and zipper hooks that came with it. And that's just another example of like technology that doesn't have to be something that's like powered by a battery. It's just like a little like a zipper hook that you can use to help zip up your binder that helps people with lower mobility.
Yeah, I love that. Just thinking it's as well, some of my friends with pots that also get overheated easily, like I know that they would benefit from just a zipper to be able to take it off for a minute and cool off.
Mhm.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Cielo, for taking the time to come with us and talk to us at our seminar sessions and our summit. I also do want to emphasize that Cielo and the Career Trans Project are in our expo. So if you all have any more questions or want more resources, feel free to jump over there and check out the resources they have provided, their website, etc. I know that there's a video on there as well, so you all can check those out. I also wanted to, I wasn't able to mention this in our previous session, but we do have these small surveys at the end of each session. They are 4 questions long. They do not take more than a minute just to get your feedback, your like a rating system for the sessions and what you all thought about it. So when the session ends, if you all have the ability to take a minute to submit those, I highly appreciate it. These sessions are also being recorded, so if there's something that you want to look back on, you'll have access to these at the end of the event. So I think it's an hour after the event, those will go live for all of you. But yeah, that is everything for us. And I truly appreciate everyone and that is here attending. And as well, again, Cielo, thank you again for spending some time with us and sharing more about the Career Trans Project and the work that you all are doing.
Thank you so much. I'll be around. I'll probably stay here for a few more minutes, and then I'll jump over to Expo table. And then one last thing I want to mention about like the partnerships is we also have a flight program where we fly individuals out to get gender affirming care. And we do that through a partnership with Elevated Access. So we connect people on private flights. Or commercial flights. And if you have like a large, community of people who need stuff like that, feel free to email me. My email is cs@queertransproject.org, and we can get a partnership going so that we can help people get access to Jennifer McCare.
Elevated Access does amazing work. We've also worked with them previously. I also want to shout out our next 2 sessions. So from 2 to 3 p.m., we will have 2 sessions running at the same time. So you get to choose where you want to be, and you can watch the recording of the other one later. But we'll have two. The first one is fine-tuning fairness, curating data sets to eliminate gender bias in technical LLMs. That is with Zaria Halliger. They are an AI engineer. And then we'll have a second session called Control Alt LGBT, exploring national polling on LGBTQ plus digital usage, access, and experience. And that is led by Shay Gardner, our very own Director of Policy and Research at LGBT Tech, and her most recent reporting that just came out actually earlier this month. So we'll have a couple sessions on those. Again, there will be at the same time, so make sure you pick which one you want and then watch the other one later. But aside from that, I will let Cielo stay here for a couple minutes longer, and then we will see you all at 2 o'clock for the next 2 sessions.
Thank you so much.
Feel free to put more questions in the chat if you all have for Cielo.
I love questions. I was a valedictorian, so I'm always answering a question. I could probably also like show like our website so I can like show the process.
Yeah, go for it. I will go backstage for now, but thank you so much for being here.
For those who are sticking around, I'll just share what our website looks like. Just talking a little bit more about like the small stuff that we do for like access. This is our little safety exit button here. Um, we also, on our previous version of our website, and we're working on upgrading it, is we have a little accessibility widget here. And it has so many different features to help modify the site for people with accessibility needs. I know, for example, like with ADHD, they had like an option to highlight certain text or to remove animations. And that's like a small thing that you can implement on your website literally like next week to be able to make it easier to scroll your website. Um, Another thing we did, like, people were having a hard time like finding our kit program, so we put a button up here to take them directly to the page about our kits right here, and we just make sure to intentionally like name all of our menu options because I know a lot of times, and this is a trap that we fell into as well, is um, trying to have like our menu options titled in a way that will like look like other nonprofits or kind of have like nonprofit jargon or like about us or things like that. But like your website is really tailored to, your clientele, the people that you're serving. So making sure that everything is kind of like set out in plain language so that people can hover over it very quickly and understand what it means. So I'll talk about like our two programs. So these are our kits here. So you just go here. And all the information is relayed about what our kits are. This is our next restock date, just making it as simple as possible because like even though it's been 5 years, we still always get like the same questions. So we want to make sure that like everything is here because we're realizing there is a break in communication. So we wanted to make it as easy as possible. Um, we have like a video showing people exactly how it works. We listed out the steps, everything that you need, like I mentioned earlier, something that you can do for your program so people know exactly what they need to do. Um, we have like an item and a size guide here so that people can take a look and prepare ahead of time for all of the items that are in here, how to size for them. You can also like view the kit items on our website. And another thing that's really important is having an FAQ. This is something you can also implement on your website literally next week, tomorrow, today. What are some common questions that you get for like your programs? Um, just go ahead and answer that here. It takes like a little bit of time, and it's something that you'll have more time, you'll have more staff time because you'll be answering less questions, and people will be more inclined to reach out for help because they have all the information relayed right here. Um, and then another thing that we have is our flight program. Same thing as Echo here. Everything's laid out here. The steps, we also like make sure that you know that a Google account is required to use the form. We have some reviews. And again, we have the FAQ so people know exactly what is needed to access this program. The last thing I wanted to mention, like about like access is we have these tutorials, and a lot of times like our trans community, like we literally don't know where to start with transitioning, and a lot of times these people who are receiving gender affirming items, it's their first one, so they kind of know in a sense how to like what the item is, but they don't really know how to use it. So what we did is we took some time, we did a little production about how to use all of the gender affirming items. We took everyone through the process of how to properly size themselves for our items, and once they receive them, how to properly wear it and how to take care of it here. And we kind of sort them by like trans mask items and trans femme items and all the tutorials. And we'll be releasing more items. We'll be releasing more videos as time goes on. And then the last thing I wanted to like mention is like um with our kits. Let me go to our website here. Just again, just making everything as easy as possible. I know people come, they'll miss the restock by a few minutes, so receiving notifications there. We have the rules here set in place with like the 1 year wait limit. And here as well, like we categorize the items so people can easily click what they need, and they can sort here really quickly and go here. So they don't need to be opened up to a whole new page. Like everything is just quickly like on this page, and we still have the quick exit down below right here as well. Um, but yeah, those just a little review of our website. It's queertransproject.org. And yeah, I'll be here for a few more minutes if anybody has any more questions. Let's see. Questions. Let's see how to go to there. Let's see. Wait, how would you go? Okay, cool. Wait, am I still screen sharing? Yes. Means I see we have like 15 more people in here, which I love that. Um, I'm here if you just want to chat, if you have any questions, but I'll go on mute in the meantime. I see a question here. Do you have any regionalized outreach events? So currently, our outreach takes place here in Jacksonville, because that's where we're located, and we're just, even though our impact is really huge, we're just a team of two people, and a part-time person. So we just stick to the Jacksonville, Florida region. Occasionally we'll drive down to like Gainesville or Orlando as events arise. But I will mention that we have a very diverse, and expansive volunteer network and board members who are always like tabling at different events across the country. So if you have any like events coming up and you would love to like put our information there, like you can reach out to us, and we'll be able to, again, email you like our marketing material so you can download that. And you don't have to print it out. Going back to like the access and tech conversation, if you just have a tablet, you can put that information up on a tablet and display it on your table, or something like that. Or if you have like a TV in your LGBTQ center that like displays different like resources, putting that on the TV there, it helps save you all money as well. Oh, thank you so much, Levi. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Casey. Oh, and happy Pride Month, everybody. I know we have just a few more days of Pride Month. Well, let's make the most out of it. Um, thank you all. Thank you for all of your amazing service to the community, and thank you all for your service to the community. Oh, we have someone all the way from Uganda here. Whoa, how cool. DC, Boston, New Mexico. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off backstage now, and I will hang out at our expo booth for a few minutes. But thank you all so much. This has been amazing, very, very refreshing. I love to be in community with like-minded people serving our community, and I look forward to hearing from some of you people. Bye.